On March 8th, a documentary was shown to Nottingham Middle School titled Christ is Silent. So what gave you the idea to premiere this at the Nottingham Middle School?
So the idea came to me through a board member, Nancy Bauer, who knew about the documentary, and she thought it would be really valuable to bring not only to the district, but to the whole community. And because Nottingham is just located so centrally, close to downtown Scotch Plains and close to downtown Fanwood, it seemed like the right spot to have tonight's viewing.
I was working at William Patterson University in the College of Education, and I had met Ridgely. He came and did a workshop for us, and I really wanted Scotch Plains Fanwood to be able to see the film also, and Dr. Mast was very enthusiastic, spoke to the mayors, they were enthusiastic, and I'm just thrilled that we were able to make it happen.
We've spoken with some of the people featured in the documentary after viewing it, and also talked to some of the SBF communities.
Well, I was considered a resource because I'm a cultural historian, and with New Jersey as my specialty, since I was once president and CEO of the New Jersey Historical Society. And so I was asked to give my perspective on it as a historian. And an advisor. It's sort of advising the others about the background of slavery and the rules and regulations concerning it in New Jersey. I'm the one who told them that each person would receive 8 free acres of land for slaves that they imported. So I was sort of the filler in, giving them information, background information. I'm not so sure how I ended up in it, but it's okay. I was in it.
I think I'm kind of brought in present day, and I'm also someone who experienced some of the, I experienced a lot of the racial issues that we sort of address here, like the fact that I'm a little black girl, one only in a class, singing about picking cotton. It almost seems like I made it up, but I think it was tying the whole thing to present day, and that lack of education and people just being unaware. This continues to go on and affect people. Yeah.
Yes, I am a public historian. I talk about the Lost Souls Project, which is an organization that's committed to remembering 137 enslaved blacks, actually freed and enslaved, that were sold south to Louisiana, to Alabama, to Mississippi illegally by a judge. So I tell that story.
When making this documentary, how did it feel knowing that history like this has happened?
It felt alarming that this history had happened and that we didn't know about it, and that a very large percentage of the citizens of New Jersey didn't know about it.
What do you think was the darkest history that had to do with slavery?
I think probably, I don't know if it's the darkest, but I would imagine that the hardest part of it would have been separating, for the people who were enslaved, would have been separation of families. Having your baby taken away from you, or having your husband suddenly sold overnight to you. For me, that would have been the hardest thing, losing people that are close to you. And you have no idea where they're taken. The odds are that you're never, ever going to see them again. That would have been the hardest.
Slavery was gruesome. It was a gruesome period. There's nothing beautiful about that experience.
Oh, yeah.
However, it's important to understand that these individuals were people. They were humans the same way we are humans, and they lived the same way in a sense that we live, right? So they celebrated birthdays, they celebrated friendships, they enjoyed being with family. So the same things that we enjoyed, they enjoyed. So I just want everyone to understand that, they were humans. And so think about that.
Of stories that you were told for this, whose story was the hardest to talk about?
The hardest one to tell, I think, was the Prime story, because there's so many different parts to it, because it had so many different moving parts, whereas the other stories were basically had one topic. His story, the Prime story, had in it not only his escape, but his master's loyalty to the British, and we had the Civil War in there, and then we had the New Jersey legislation, and then we had the fact that he was enslaved, freed, re-enslaved, fought in the war, and then re-enslaved, and then freed again. I mean, that's complicated, and I thought it was a little difficult to tell. The individual that we had tell it on the film has her doctorate from Princeton University. She was very good at telling it, but that was my biggest challenge of the 3 stories, I think.
So in viewing the documentary, the fact that there was lessons for me to learn and information that I was unaware of, it just really highlighted that we need to really take a close look at our curriculum to ensure that we're including some of the information that we learned about tonight.
I hope that it will spark a lot of conversation. I know that the school board really wanted to see the curriculum expanded, and that's why we're adding an AP African American history class that will be starting in the fall. And I hope not just in the school curriculum, but community-wide, whether it's with the healing circles and all, as they said, one-on-one, and people talking to their neighbors, family.
Do you think this film will get people's attention about the whole slavery thing?
Absolutely. I think every little project like this that does that will, and I hope that people tonight will continue to spread the word and think about it. I think every effort you make does something, even if it hits 1 or 2 people. Absolutely.
When you hear the story, put yourself in that person's shoes, right? So I always talk about mothers, because I'm a mother, right? So I put myself in that mother's shoe in terms of like what it meant to give away my child or have my child being sold away from me. Also have teenagers. I want them to think about like what that actually means to be separated from your family. Like, what does it mean to not ever see them again?
I would say watch it with an open mind and with an open heart, and let it inspire you to understand history and culture is not everything that you see on television or hear in music, but it goes much deeper than that. Sometimes you have to read, right? And talk to people and find out information on your own and draw your own conclusions.
I think the one thing I want people to walk away from the documentary thinking to themselves that they learned something that they didn't know, and that because of that, it might change the way they think about the African American experience and the African American community today.
You can find both parts of the documentary streaming on PBS.com.